Welcome to our US Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some hot topics from around the world. First up, India and Pakistan, after intense fighting in Kashmir, have announced a ceasefire, thanks to US mediation. But don't breathe too easy, sporadic violence still flares up, and both sides are on high alert. It's a fragile peace, with civilians caught in the crossfire, and tensions remain high. Next, in New Mexico, a wildfire from 2022 has sparked a lawsuit. The fire, which burned nearly 46,000 acres, was linked to improperly managed prescribed burns by the Forest Service. Whistleblowers and investigations revealed negligence, leading to questions about fire safety and transparency. Sadly, victims are now fighting for federal aid amidst ongoing controversy. Lastly, the U.S. is heading toward a massive spending milestone, nearly $1 trillion on nuclear weapons by 2034. The costs are soaring due to modernization efforts, but critics warn this could threaten future deterrence. Meanwhile, Vietnam and Russia are fast-tracking nuclear power projects, aiming for new plants by 2030. Plus, America's shipbuilding industry is seeking allies to boost its maritime strength, especially in the Arctic, amid shifting global power plays. Please stay tuned as we explore these stories in more detail. The South China Morning Post vividly recounts the recent tense standstill between India and Pakistan, where a fragile ceasefire was momentarily established after days of intense, deadly conflict. The Indian military, alert and ready, sent a hotline message to Pakistan, warning of their intent to respond to any violations, as both nations blamed each other for the initial hostilities that saw missile and drone exchanges, resulting in nearly 70 casualties. Despite the ceasefire, sporadic artillery fire echoed through Kashmir, casting doubt on the peace's durability. Diplomatic efforts, including U.S. mediation and President Trump's involvement, played a crucial role in securing the truce, with India insisting on resolving disputes bilaterally and rejecting third-party interference, even as residents on both sides cautiously resumed daily routines amid lingering fears and damaged infrastructure. Yahoo US's report delves into the aftermath of the Cerro Pelado wildfire in New Mexico, revealing a gripping story of alleged cover-up and negligence by the U.S. Forest Service. The fire, which consumed nearly 46,000 acres, was initially attributed to an inconclusive cause, with investigators later revealing that unmonitored burn piles ignited by prescribed fires had been left unattended during a period of high winds. Whistleblowers and investigators accused the agency of hiding the truth, which only came to light over a year later, after congressional aid had already been allocated to victims. The lawsuit filed by local communities and property owners alleges negligence and misconduct, asserting that the Forest Service's concealment prevented victims from receiving timely assistance and compensation, exposing systemic flaws in wildfire management and accountability. Finally, Yahoo US reports on the recent surge of migrants crossing into a newly designated military area along the US-Mexico border in New Mexico, where over 200 individuals were apprehended for illegal entry. The case introduces a controversial legal approach, charging migrants with additional misdemeanors for trespassing on restricted military land, charges that could extend their detention by up to 18 months. The federal public defender challenged these charges, arguing that inadequate signage and poorly placed warnings failed to inform migrants they were entering military property, raising significant legal questions about knowledge and intent. The debate underscores the complexities of border security, with the government asserting that mere crossing without proper authorization constitutes a violation regardless of awareness, while advocates highlight the need for clearer signage and fairer enforcement. According to Yahoo US, the United States nuclear arsenal is projected to cost nearly $1 trillion over the next decade, a staggering 25% increase from previous estimates. The Congressional Budget Office highlights that from 2025 to 2034, the total expenditure on nuclear forces will reach $946 billion, with annual costs around $95 billion. This surge is driven largely by the need to modernize aging delivery systems, command and control infrastructure, and production facilities, including the Los Alamos National Laboratory's efforts to produce new plutonium pits, the core components of nuclear warheads. The report emphasizes that future costs are influenced not only by actual price increases but also by the later stages of development, which tend to be more expensive. Critics, such as Greg Mello from the Los Alamos Study Group, argue that these escalating costs reflect a misguided prioritization of nuclear modernization, urging Congress to halt programs like the Sentinel missile replacement, which are central to the ongoing nuclear upgrade efforts. The report underscores the complex and costly nature of maintaining and expanding the U.S. nuclear deterrent, with questions looming about the future size and scope of the arsenal amid rising financial demands. Meanwhile, Nikkei Asia reports that Vietnam and Russia are accelerating their nuclear energy cooperation, aiming to swiftly negotiate and sign agreements to build nuclear power plants in Vietnam. After nearly a decade of suspension, Vietnam is rekindling its nuclear ambitions to meet the demands of its rapidly growing economy, with plans to have its first reactors operational between 2030 and 2035, with a combined capacity of up to 6.4 gigawatts. The Vietnamese government has expressed its commitment to ensuring that these projects adhere strictly to safety regulations, emphasizing the potential socio-economic benefits. Additionally, the two nations are strengthening their collaboration in the oil and gas sectors, including the exchange of Russian crude oil and LNG, and facilitating the expansion of energy companies across both countries. This renewed focus on nuclear power symbolizes Vietnam's strategic shift toward diversifying its energy sources and bolstering its infrastructure, while Russia continues to position itself as a key energy partner in Southeast Asia. The foreign policy article titled "American Shipbuilding Needs Allies" vividly illustrates the United States' ambitious but challenging endeavor to regain its maritime dominance, especially in the Arctic and icebreaker capabilities. President Donald Trump's administration, backed by a new Office of Maritime and Industrial Capacity, aims to revitalize a shipbuilding industry that has long struggled with technological and capacity gaps. The narrative emphasizes the strategic importance of icebreakers for safeguarding economic security, asserting sovereignty against Russian and Chinese threats in the Arctic, and supporting scientific and rescue missions. Yet, the U.S. faces a stark reality: it lacks the specialized industrial know-how possessed by nations like Finland and Canada. The article underscores the necessity of international collaboration, technology sharing, and strategic focus on high-value maritime sectors rather than trying to produce every component domestically, which would be prohibitively expensive and counterproductive. It advocates for a pragmatic approach, leveraging global markets, sharing niche technologies, and focusing on capabilities that truly matter, highlighting that the U.S. must adapt its traditional industrial strategy to succeed in this complex arena. The post-World War II system was always fragile. Peace reflects on the enduring yet fragile foundations of the post-1945 international order, which was built on liberal internationalism, alliances like NATO, and institutions such as the United Nations. It recounts how the euphoria of victory over fascism quickly gave way to Cold War tensions, nuclear anxieties, and the persistent challenge of maintaining a balanced global system. The article details historical debates and resistance within the U.S., from skepticism about NATO expansion to distrust of the UN, illustrating that the system's stability has always depended on continual effort and political consensus. It highlights how recent U.S. President Donald Trump's policies have systematically undermined this order, straining alliances, criticizing multilateral institutions, and retreating from commitments, exposing the inherent vulnerabilities of a system that was never entirely secure. The narrative underscores that despite its flaws, the post-war order has been vital in preventing global catastrophe, and its weakening risks plunging the world into chaos unless renewed efforts are made to preserve its core principles. The South China Morning Post article vividly captures the deep cultural and economic ties between the United States and Saudi Arabia, revealing how American brands, food, and lifestyle have become an integral part of daily life in the Gulf Kingdom. Fahd, a Saudi engineer, nostalgically recounts how his daily routines in Riyadh mirror those in Tennessee, where he once lived, emphasizing the enduring American influence through franchises like Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks, and the omnipresence of American SUVs. Despite political tensions, such as the 1970s oil embargo, the 9/11 attacks, and the Jamal Khashoggi murder, the bond remains strong, driven by shared interests in oil, security, and consumer culture. The article highlights Saudi Arabia's economic transformation under Vision 2030, which has opened the country further to American investment and entertainment, including MMA fights and U.S. wrestling. It underscores how American products and lifestyle choices have become woven into the fabric of Saudi society, reflecting a complex relationship rooted in mutual economic interests, cultural affinity, and strategic alliance, even amid regional tensions and calls for boycotts. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6do Brief via email.
Morning coffee, fresh off the press. Reading headlines, feeling blessed. World keeps turning, stories unfold. Every moment news gets told. Flipping channels, clicking tabs. Feeding my mind's hunger grabs. Facts and figures, images bright. News keeps rolling day and night. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories unfold. Knowledge is power, truth to behold. Politics, science, sports, and art. Every story plays its part. Global voices, voices near. Every headline loud and clear. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dawn. Headlines and headlines, can't get enough. Learning about the world, yeah, it's my stuff. Headlines and headlines, stories unfold. Knowledge is power, truth to behold. Need the latest, got to know. Never stopping, always go. Scrolling, swiping, reading on. Daylight breaks in the dawn. Headlines and headlines, can't get